Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sitting here with the Poor Boy Polaris. It's a vehicle, one of the first vehicles that I started working on, I guess about 10 years ago. And it was originally my lawnmower, and motor blew up in it. And I have a video called Intro to Poor Boy Polaris that explains all this, but I'll go through it again. I made it into a rear engine, and you'll hear me talk a couple different times probably about the original mower, but I'm going to go through each piece and just tell you a little bit about where it came from. And I put this hood on here on one of the videos. I think it was just called Working on Poor Boy Polaris. And I made this 1/8" steel, so it's pretty heavy. But I made this stencil and put a little YouTube logo on there. You can see it's been sitting for a while. I think it came out of a back plate of an electrical panel. There's a lot of electrical parts in this stuff because I'm an electrician by trade and I bring stuff home. This piece I'm taking off here is the grill of the Poor Boy Polaris. And it's a grill for a couple of reasons. This is actually the grill out of a toaster oven that we had. And I thought it would look pretty cool on the front of there, just as a little decoration. And to say I had a grill as a grill. This piece that I'm taking off here, I show it in the original Intro to Poor Boy Polaris video, but it was a lid or a cover for a 24x24 junction box. And I basically did all of these bends just by cutting slightly into the metal and bending it, not cutting all the way through. Really the only places that it's welded is it's welded here and here and up through here. These are the only places it's welded. Everywhere else it's cut and folded and bent in. That's just, it's pitching in the wood. I don't usually have to rip things off of this like this, but these fenders, I don't remember what lawnmower they came off of. I don't know if they come off of the original lawnmower or not, but they were rear fenders. They weren't front fenders because this is actually the cutout where the gear shifter was. And I just patched over it. Alright, I made these panels, this door, and the other side over there on one of the Working on Poor Boy Polaris videos. It's just basically, they're both made out of, this is what they call wind brace material for a steel building, and this is probably the back end of a electric panel. But I made this one, it was a hinged door on this side that latched. And then the one over here, the one on this side is just a stationary panel. But you can tell everything comes apart very quickly for a couple of reasons. Because I know how it was put together and I've had it apart several times. And just for ease of being able to work on it, to do different things to it, so it comes apart pretty quickly. These panels right here are also just screwed on. These are wood. They're 3/8 plywood. And this is what actually has my Poor Boy Polaris written on it. I have a couple of Phillips wood screws across the bottom. We'll have to get a different thing to take it off with. I may try to incorporate some of these pieces into future projects. These fenders were the 24 by 24 junction box that I was talking about earlier, that was the lid for. Basically, I took the end off of it. This was some of the original holes that it had in it. They were punched out. And I had to make some cuts to clear some things on here, but that's what they came from. These lights are actually landscape lights. They're halogen landscape lights that are 12 volts that we demoed from a dentist office in downtown Nashville that I brought home. I brought several of them home. This is the gear shift that was part of the original mower, just this arm, and of course I had to make a bunch of linkage to make it all fit together. But I'm trying to get everything off of the cage. I'll be able to remove the cage here in just a second. And then I've got just the choke cable. It's just a bracket fastened to the cage. And then this deal right here, this was the hood prop. It's just basically a piece of all thread with a fender washer welded to the end of it. This engine is actually the third engine that's been on here. The first one was off of my mom's lawnmower, and it had a bad knock in it, and it just got worse and worse and worse. So I had another engine that I put on here secondly. One of the first rides we went on, we ran it for about 45 minutes, and that motor completely locked up. So this is the third motor that's been on here. It's 11.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. And this actually came off of a mower that my brother gave me, my oldest brother gave me. It found its home on here. I made this cage where it was really easily removable in case I had to get to the motor or do something to it. The whole thing is fastened together. All I had to do is take 2 bolts out here. I have 2 bolts on each side, and this piece right here, and then I have 2 bolts in the front end. Basically, the whole thing is loose. One of the things I wanted to show y'all on this cage before I took it off was this little piece right here and this little piece right here got added after I flipped this over in the front yard doing donuts in the snow. And reason why I put those in there is that would actually give me a handhold inside of the cage, because when I flipped it over, I reached up and grabbed the side of the cage as it was falling over, realized about halfway down that was a bad idea, but then I put my hand down onto the ground as it flipped over, and I messed this pinky finger up, and I've had problems ever since out of it. This steering wheel is a lawnmower steering wheel, because this has been the original one that's been on there the whole time. Then the seat is the seat to the original mower. It could slide forward if one of the kids wanted to ride it. And I had shorter pedals on here at one time where the kids could drive it. Then this instrument panel right here, I just had a switch you had to turn on to make it run, and that would shut it off, and then you had a start start button, and then I just had one switch for the lights on the top. Nothing fancy to it. And it's just a flat piece of metal, probably a panel cover, box cover or something. This is 1/2 of the floor that I made. It's just plywood, 3/4 inch plywood. And this was the upright piece to where the battery was housed. The battery went into here and then had the panel for the switches on there. But I have 2 pieces like that on there on each side. They just make up the floor. But you can see right here this gap in my intro to Poor Boy Polaris. I show that when I originally built it, it was this much shorter. This basically was to here. And my knees were in my chest pretty bad, and I needed it a little bit longer. So I actually used this steel here to separate it and lengthen it out. These pieces are from a rack mount rack that held like data and communications type equipment in it. So I've got it sitting here on the rack now, just to show you that this is the 3rd set of tires that have been on here on the front. The first ones was just some small lawnmower tires, then I went to a little bigger lawnmower tire, and then this is rear tires off of one of the little Chinese 4-wheelers. And then this right here is the steering box. And of course on the lawnmower, the steering box was way up here and it was straight up and down. And then I have videos of this steering piece right here that I completely rebuilt. This one's all out of steel. The original one was out of aluminum, and the aluminum kept breaking and wearing down, so I used that as a pattern to build this one, and I made it out of steel, and it's done wonderful. So I hope I haven't bored y'all too much with this video. Reason why I've been making this video and showing you all these parts is we're saying goodbye to Poor Boy Polaris. The Poor Boy Polaris has been a fun project that I've been working on, but it's making way for a new project that I really don't want to tell you too much about just yet, but keep watching the channel and pretty soon you'll find out what's going on. But please subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and hit the notification bell. Please share our videos and give us a like, and I appreciate if you'd come back and watch again. Kevin's Creations. Thanks.